Any deception will sooner or later be exposed. Do you agree with me? That's what the story today is about. During my college days, I encountered my ex-partner. She was the epitome of beauty, attracting a swarm of guys wherever she went. Though we shared a few classes, I never attempted to court her, primarily because of the competition. One day after a lecture, she approached me to study together, and the rest, as they say, is history. We proceeded to tie the knot, and we both ventured into the workforce, operating in the same industry but different firms, an industry predominantly dominated by men. As I enjoyed instant triumph, my partner faced difficulty and switched jobs. Despite her efforts, she encountered challenges in the first year. In the third year, she conceived our first child, but continued to work diligently throughout the pregnancy. A few weeks after giving birth, during a routine physical, her doctor requested a biopsy of her cervix. The outcome revealed the presence of precancerous cells. The doctor recommended that if we desired more children, we should act promptly. As the condition progressed, it became apparent that a hysterectomy would eventually be necessary. Therefore, when my Wi-Fi was prepared, she decided to become pregnant again. Within a year of each other, she delivered another baby boy. Subsequently, after undergoing further testing, various medical practitioners recommended that we proceed with the procedure without delay. Despite having 2 infants, she went ahead with the surgery. My Wi-Fi felt devastated as she longed for a large family, but with the procedure, it was not possible. Nevertheless, she devoted herself to being an excellent mother, which she excelled at. She made the decision to become a stay-at-home mom and took care of everything at home. While she focused on motherhood, my career was flourishing, and I received a job offer from another company with a substantial salary increase. Life was good. Later, when our boys started school, she volunteered at the school and became a vital part of the community. I should note that we had dear friends, A and B, whom we attended school with and interacted with frequently. Our families began their journey of parenthood around the same time, and they have a son. We spent quality time together, going on vacations, having dinners, and engaging in various activities. Our friendship was unshakable. After the birth of their son, A resumed work and achieved significant success in her career. B also had a good job, but unfortunately his position was terminated in 2001. B faced challenges securing a job in his field due to the economic conditions at that time. Consequently, he decided to become a stay-at-home father while continuing his job hunt in our locality, since they did not want to relocate. During this period, my ex and B carried out activities together with the children. Even when the kids started school, they still spent time together. Unfortunately, it later came to light that they had an affair. I am aware that this story is lengthy, but it is not yet complete. After about a year of this hot sex in the OM, asked my ex if she and I had ever talked about a threesome. Although it was merely a fantasy, our sexual relationship was still great, albeit slowing down. B proposed adding his friend into the mix and my ex agreed. On the appointed day, C arrived at B's house and removed his suit. As my ex and B got into the groove, they engaged in their threesome. Afterward, the third party mentioned that he typically had to pay for sex. Consequently, they left him a couple of $100 bills and inquired if he could have a one-on-one session with my ex. She informed him that she needed time to consider it and that B would get back to him. Eventually, C proposed someone else, and that was how A's business commenced. Later on, B secured another job and had to leave my ex to fend for herself. She acquired a separate cell phone for her business. Additionally, she rented out a storage unit, which she transformed into her closet and office. Using the money earned, she purchased outfits that her clients requested. To avoid detection, she even bought a car that was not her minivan to avoid being spotted at hotels. The men had to pay for a room at a decent hotel, while she kept the car at the storage unit, and all transactions were in cash. As far as I know, she never brought the money into our family's finances. During summer, we sent our children to various day camps. She asserted that she had adjusted our budget to accommodate the expense. Her work hours were limited to school hours, and she occasionally picked up the boys from school. In her absence, B took over and looked after them until she returned. Our familial life remained unaffected. Admittedly, I was working excessively and striving for advancement. Therefore, our weekends were reserved for family time, and sexual intimacy was usually reserved for those days. I believed this was the most suitable arrangement due to my demanding work life. We would usually spend our evenings snuggled up on the couch, binge-watching TV shows. In 2016, our eldest son had started college, and the younger one was in his final year of high school. One day, I received a call from B, informing me that my ex-wife was in the hospital. He was unclear about the details, but mentioned that she was severely injured. I rushed to the hospital, only to find my wife hooked up to various machines. She had already undergone cleaning and x-rays, which revealed a broken jaw, broken nose, and fractured orbital bone. Additionally, she had a possible concussion. The medical staff assured me that she would survive, but her recovery would be a lengthy process. As the police officer was concluding his inquiries and preparing to leave, I inquired about the incident. However, my wife was inconsolable, sobbing and speaking incoherently due to pain medication. The nurse advised me to allow her to rest, and they transferred her to a hospital room. Soon after, she handed me a bag containing her clothes. Upon inspecting the contents, I noticed a dress and high heels that were unfamiliar to me, as she never wore such attire. The nurse informed me that the clothes were retrieved from the hotel room. Consequently, they escorted me out of the room, and I contacted my sons to update them. Later that evening, my wife's medication-induced haze began to dissipate, and she shared some details of what occurred. She soon drifted off to sleep again. I had my youngest son stay with her while I reached out to B for further assistance. I was perplexed as to why B had contacted me and how he was aware of the situation before I was. Subsequently, B revealed my wife's actions but omitted his involvement in the affair. I was devastated upon learning the truth. After undergoing jaw surgery, we brought her home, where she recovered in the comfort of our home. Gradually, I learned the entire story, and upon contacting A, I discovered that B was essentially acting as a pimp in their affair. She expelled B from her life. As she regained her strength, I informed her that our relationship was over. I requested her to move out, and she complied. Following her departure, I initiated divorce proceedings. It has now been 5 years since our divorce, and I still harbor feelings for her. The pain of our separation is akin to mourning the death of a loved one, and it is unbearable. Although my sons are aware of her actions, I have had no communication with her since her departure. An update on the situation was not available until last night. During the holiday weekend, I received a phone call from my eldest son, R, who was out of town. His friend informed him that his younger brother had been involved in a motorcycle accident. Although he was with him, he did not witness the incident as he was riding ahead. I immediately drove to the hospital's emergency room, where they were cleaning and preparing him for x-rays. The doctors instructed me to take a seat and wait for further information. Moments later, as I sat with my head leaned back and eyes closed, I was called by name. As I lifted my head, I noticed my ex standing in the doorway. She inquired about any updates regarding our son's condition, and I informed her that I was still waiting for news. She then requested to sit with me, and I obliged, gesturing towards a chair beside me. It had been 5 years since our divorce, and I was unsure what to expect. I anticipated that she would have disfigurements from the beating, but to my surprise, her face was relatively unscathed, albeit not as flawless as I recollected. However, the most prominent change I observed was the absence of the sparkle in her eyes. Her sparkling eyes were a feature that I fondly reminisced about, and even with a mask on, they did not appear the same. It was amusing how I noticed the difference when she smiled, as her face used to light up. I surmised that she probably had a resting bitch face now. Nonetheless, while anxiously waiting for news, we engaged in some small talk. She complimented the landscaping work I had done and admired how the plants had matured. Although I had attempted to purge any thoughts of her during and after the divorce, it was pleasant to hear her appreciation of my efforts. I replaced the bushes in the yard, which was something she had previously planned and planted. However, I neglected to mention that I also renovated the inside of the house, including tearing down a wall. Due to the construction, a dumpster was parked in the driveway for several months. She inquired about my progress and asked how I was doing. I'm not sure why, but I confessed that I had been overworking myself, causing me to stall. However, I have since sought help from a therapist and started exercising regularly, including taking up bike riding. Following a brief stay with B for a couple of months, she sought guidance from a counselor who suggested enrolling in college courses related to her degree. It took her a couple of years to complete the courses, but she remained determined and is currently employed full-time. The doctor arrived and assessed the extent of his injuries, determining that the most severe were his foot and ankle, which were pinned under the bike during the accident. Surgery was scheduled for today, but overall, everything appeared to be good. However, he will need time to heal and undergo rehabilitation, and he will remain in the hospital until at least tomorrow, depending on his head injury. I offered him a place to stay at my house since I have enough room and can work remotely. We will finalize the arrangements today, but it also means that his mother may want to visit. Update 2. The healing process will be beneficial for me. My son is making progress in his recovery, but he still has a ways to go. We have agreed that he will stay with me during his convalescence, and he intends to resume work next week. Fortunately, his boss is arranging for him to work from home. It's challenging for him to sit in the back seat of my SUV, and he needs to stretch out, so driving him to work and back would be a nightmare. Many people have been inquiring about his ex visiting, but I usually leave and head to the gym when she comes over. Perhaps a bike ride would be better. My oldest son suggested having a sit-down dinner with the four of us, but I declined. My ex has been very understanding and has not pushed anything. She comes over to spend time with our son and will occasionally cook, even bringing groceries. Sometimes his friends come over, and it can get a bit noisy for me, but it helps him forget about his troubles. Although we don't talk all the time, it's not true to say that we never speak. Our conversations tend to revolve around our sons and their lives without much deviation. Recently, my ex has begun doing small tasks around the house. Since my son is not the tidiest, she cleans up after him and washes his dishes. She even cooks meals for him and always leaves a plate for me. I usually tell my son to save it for his lunch the next day. The other night, she asked me if I would like to join her for dinner, as my son had some friends coming over. When she first asked me, I declined the dinner invitation. Later on, she brought it up again, suggesting that we should clear the air. I reiterated my refusal. Eventually, I explained that our relationship ended long ago due to her actions, and it took me a long time to move on from what was lost. She acknowledged my feelings and said she had no intentions of revisiting our past relationship. I did mention that I had no issue with her visiting our son until he returned to his place. I also expressed gratitude for her help in cleaning up. It wasn't necessary. I appreciate all of the encouragement and kind words, but I know I will make it through. This experience has caused my heart to become hardened. That's all for today. Leave your opinion in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. See you soon. Bye-bye.